Welcome, everybody, to the Dirty Possum Podcast. Come on, let's hear it. Yeah, that's exactly what you guys want out of an audience when you stand up in a club. My name is Wes. I am an air personality in Lubbock, Texas. Radio guy host is basically what I consider myself. We have the Dirty Possum himself over here, Dave Lonngren, kind of a performance artist at this point, right? Mm-hmm. Now, I haven't mentioned this, but basically you're working at a place so that you could be around a vaguely fishy odor. Is that what it is?
Yeah, I work in a restaurant.
That's the only time you can get near anything like that?
Let's get to the restaurant, I also did a photo shoot for prior to me working there.
Right, and that's just weird.
It's just fucking funny as shit.
And that's partially due to our other co-host here. We have Caleb Davis from Laugh Hub City. How you doing?
I'm doing good.
You know, you're kind of weird to be. You want to say that you're the godfather of this, but you're more like the loose organizer of the whole thing or
loose,
something?
Yeah, I'm real loose.
He's
like,
very loose.
Like stool. Loose like my stool this morning.
Yeah,
how would you describe it?
You know, it takes a lot, it takes a village, I say, for this deal, but, I mean...
Yeah. It takes a village to control the idiots.
Yeah, I guess so. But, I feel like anybody, if they wanted to, they could definitely take this over at any time. I'm ready to not have to stay and carry fucking speakers all the time upstairs.
I feel like everyone else just moved and we just were like, you're doing it.
Yeah.
No, that's pretty much what happened.
Pretty much exactly.
But you took responsibility. I mean,
in all groups, you have to have somebody that fucking keeps control of the speakers.
And that voice you just heard is our guest this week, Austin Meador. Austin, thank you. Austin, thank you so much for coming by this week. We appreciate it, man.
Thanks for having me.
Now, it's very interesting that Laugh Hub City is a loose coalition of comedians. And we do actually have different ethnicities in there. We have some African Americans, black guys, you guys like to say. We have an Arab or two. We've got Feldman, which who knows what the fuck's going on there. But Austin, you still seem to operate as kind of a lone wolf off to the side. Is that because of your age or the type of stuff you do, or do you just hate these fuckers?
No, I always talk about these guys. I think that's...
Am I wrong?
No. And what's weird is like every other group, I'm always like in the middle. Like I'm like with everyone. I think that when I started, everyone was kind of standoffish towards me, like years ago.
Yeah.
Whatever reason that was for. Maybe my material is too rough or something.
Dude, I hated you when I first walked into the scene.
They all hated me, which is weird because I'm really nice off stage. I
didn't. When I saw you the first time, I went, this guy's onto something.
Yeah, I'm real personable, but I feel like, but I don't know, on stage, I guess I was mean. Also, I kind of took a break and then came back like 6 months later.
Yeah.
And like, then you had guys like Dave and Steven and all them, and they were doing it all the time, and I was kind of the outsider. I was like the new guy almost, just because I'd been gone so far.
Right.
I am older too.
Yeah, how old are you, Austin?
I'm 29. Me and Caleb are the same age.
Old.
Or I'm 28, but I'll be 29.
Old. Whatever the fuck.
I'm saying older than like the 21-year-olds, like the new guys.
Older than the teeny boppers.
Well, what's kind of interesting is the first time I had any personal interaction with you, it was like a couple minutes after you were off stage, and you were the same character when you had come off. You were still intense from being on stage. I'm like, oh, fuck, this guy's broken. you know? I mean, I get a totally different impression in you now in this room than I did off stage. So is there on stage, Austin? There obviously is to a degree. Do you have to psych up or anything?
Sometimes, yeah. I don't know. I guess...
It's weird to analyze it. I understand that, man.
Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm kind of the same person. I think I'm nicer off stage.
I wouldn't have went with that answer. I
think I am. I mean, I think I'm nicer off stage, but I mean, I got some of that same sense of humor in my daily life.
Yeah. Here's okay.
Like I still fucking hate old people. That wasn't just a joke. That was just me kind of being honest.
All right, now Dave is doing more performance art than anything else, but this is one of the questions that I find pretty interesting about comedy in general. The question is whether you sit down and make an effort to write or whether you wait for something to come to you and write it down. Which way did you go, Dave?
I waited for stuff to happen in life, and then
if nothing good happened, we weren't going to have a good show.
yeah, pretty much. And that's probably why I don't do comedy anymore. I mean, I had a hard time sitting down writing,
Yeah.
and that's just that's just me.
What about you, Caleb? Are you
I think it's
a
probably a
writer or a receiver? I guess.
Probably more of a receiver.
Yeah.
More of just like a watcher, really. I watch people.
Yeah.
I do, but it's like, I don't know. It's like you perceive things and you look and you're like, all right, if I at least have a premise here,
Yeah.
and then I'll just run with it.
What about you, Austin?
Man, I like to write, but I'm really bad. I'm bad about it. I'm lazy with it.
Do you sit down at a desk, or how does it work?
Yeah, I'm honestly, when I first started, I was just really passionate about it. I would sit down with a notebook and just write for the trash can, basically. I'd write for hours. I usually used to do like Tuesday, Wednesday nights.
Yeah.
Write for like hours and, pick 3 jokes out of that worked. Now I'm kind of lazy about it. I have stuff come to me, or I write it in my phone. I just look it up through the week.
And that's basically the process for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I find that very interesting because it does fall in 2 very, very different camps.
The thing is, me, Caleb, and Austin all have fucking real jobs that we do all week, and it's just like, and we got life to deal with, so it's not like we have 10 hours a day to spend writing the whole time.
Yeah,
Right.
Sometimes you don't want to write after work.
Yeah, you just like, you're tired, and it's like, fuck this, comedy right now really is a hobby.
Right.
And and we got bills to pay and all that shit. It would be different if I could just spend 10 hours a day writing shit.
Yeah.
And not have to worry about
I find
rent
it interesting that the ex-comedian is being the spokesman for the comedians.
Well, fuck. Just because, fuck y'all.
This is named after me, goddammit.
You made that sound like such a burden, Dave.
Yeah.
Well, fuck you. If you disagree with me, come up with a logical fucking reverb.
I think that's everybody, though. I mean,
Yeah,
is there-
Yeah.
I mean, unless I guess you've got a good setup where,
Yeah.
which I guess what would be a good setup for me right now, I guess I'd be living in my parents' basement or some shit.
Well,
like,
I
not
think
having to pay bills and not work.
Yeah.
And I could just sit there and.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I would think it snowballs as you get some success, you get time. Well, my friend that really got me intrigued by this whole comedy thing and stuff, believe it or not, got his comedy start because he went on the TV show The Joker's Wild, the original one. You guys know that one? Snoop is doing a redo right now on TV. But he won a bunch of money on Joker's Wild, and it gave him enough money to say, I'm gonna do stand-up comedy. And so for a year, all his bills were paid. And I mean, I think that's kind of the ideal situation, don't you?
Win a game show.
Yeah. Well, no.
Make a bunch of money where you can not
I'll
work.
be waiting.
Where
Yeah.
you've got time to do that and be smart enough to realize that this money's going to run out, so I need to be writing and I need to perform and all that good
Hey,
stuff.
Right.
while we're talking about writing, do y'all have people, now that people know how to stand up, it's every day, like, you should put that in your show.
Fuck.
And if someone's listening to this, fuck you for
Yeah,
doing
fuck
that.
you.
Like,
Okay.
they'll tell me a story about the grandma, like, you should tell it. I'm like, that's not...
Well, you know what I'm going to do with your grandma? I'm going to fuck her in the ass. Hey, if you tell me another joke, you should put this, I'm going to fuck grandma in the ass. 'Cause that's what I think of your shit. Okay, you're not up on stage. You're sitting at the bar fucking drunk. Fuck you. You don't know what's funny. Yeah, wake up to your miserable fucking life tomorrow, you fucking piece of shit.
I think Dave is ready to take over as the comedy manager.
That's right.
All right, here's one. I want to give Austin the opportunity to answer this one first. You guys do lots of stand-up. You guys do lots of open mics. You do lots of gigs where there's 6, 8, 10 people on the gig. And this is a problem I used to have with Battle of the Bands. Have you guys run across a smelly mic yet? Have you?
No, I've never run across smelly. I've run across, like, the sweaty hot mic.
Oh, God.
That's kind of gross.
Smelly mic?
Now, you guys wait till you get a comedian that is more loud or projects more like me or something, and it's like, and it gets all that saliva on the mic or the little mist, and then like 4 or 5 people, and there is nothing that smells worse than a mic that's been used by a half dozen people. I'm
I
pretty.
feel like you're describing Dave's penis. The smelliest dickhead in the world.
I'm almost retching over here. And you're fucking with me, asshole. This is a different show, not the old show. You can't fuck with me all the time.
I had different questions for Austin, but I forgot some of my prep material. Let me ask you this. Describe the first time you saw an X-rated movie, Austin. The very first one. First time you saw something that you knew you weren't supposed to be watching.
Oh, dude, I was like 10.
Really?
Yeah, my friend showed me on LimeWire.
Yeah?
And then about 5 years later, our computer crashed because of LimeWire.
Yeah?
Yeah, like 25,000 viruses on that thing, and lied and told my parents it was from online games.
Yeah. And there was dry jizz. In
Yeah, I told her, the sticky keyboard was because I spilled a Coke.
Caleb, what about you? First X-rated movie you saw?
It's kind of weird talking about it now, but I watched it. It was me and my brother and my granddad showed it to us.
No way. That does sound weird.
He didn't want you to wind up being
exactly.
gay.
That's exactly what it was. I was like,
Back in the day, that used to be a thing.
Yeah, I know.
and it's not like we watched the whole thing, but I was like 9.
Yeah.
And my older brother's like,
You just watched the
12 or
first and the
13.
end, right?
He'd just flip it on where it'd be, some softcore
Yeah.
titty action, and
Did you guys start with Skinamax and move up to hardcore?
yeah.
Basically?
No, I started at hardcore like 11, dude.
Really? That was the
Yeah.
first thing you saw was the whole graphic
I remember
thing.
being 11 and seeing that video where the dude sticks his head in a girl's vagina in the alley. You know what I'm talking about?
I almost did that. I almost did that.
This
joke 'cause he's
exists and I
bald.
haven't seen it?
I mean, it was like the first
He
weird
sticks his
video.
whole
to be out
head
there.
in there.
Yeah.
And he's bald, and he kind of looks like you,
Yeah.
Wes.
Oh my God!
He's like,
Maybe I'm just trying to throw you guys off the scent of my past. What about you, Dave?
Okay.
Wait, wait. I'm sorry. I don't feel like I'm done with that story.
Fuck.
I was 11. I was in 6th grade when I saw that.
And did you think at that time that was weird, or did you think that's what sex was?
I was like, this is what people are doing. That's why Grandpa's bald.
Check your own head. Make sure you think it'll slip in there.
Yeah, I was excited about losing my hair.
That is crazy. All right, Dave,
Okay.
first one for you.
Want to say freshman year college.
Yeah.
The TV room in the dorm. The room,
Freshman year of college.
Yeah.
Black and white TV back then.
Fuck
Yeah.
you. This is the early days of VHS, so I think we pooled our money and rented a VHS player.
Yeah.
And somebody brought in a porn tape, and I don't even remember. But the fucked up thing is, I'm watching porn with a whole bunch of other dudes.
Yeah, that's very
That was
weird.
And I'm like, I'm just while you're going around, I'm like, oh my god, that sounds so fucking.
This sounds weird now, but
Yeah, well, yeah.
in junior high,
VHS.
that was whatever.
Well,
dude.
I don't know. That was that's really the first
You know that's kind
video
of
porn
for
that
me
I
too.
saw.
You know,
I was just like thinking about it now. I'm like, that was really fucked up. You should be watching porn with chicks.
Wow, that's crazy. My story kind of follows along those same lines. You know, I had seen pictures and this, that, and the other, but the first real X-rated movie I saw back in the day, I'm older than you guys, you had to go to an actual theater. And I went to the Pussycat Theater on Sunset Boulevard because my friend was a theater manager, and actually saw a double bill of Deep Throat and The Devil and Miss Jones, which is, I already knew about sex and everything from all the pictures and stuff, but to see these movies the first time, I remember my eyes like fogging up. And I'm not exaggerating here. It was like my brain was like, this is too much. There's a 25-foot vagina on the screen. And then you guys don't know anything about these movies, but like in Devil and Miss Jones, there's like one scene where she's just inserting grapes for some reason. I guess for somebody to consume later or something. And
making some wine.
It was crazy, man.
Yeah.
Because it was X-rated movies back then were a different thing than they were now.
Sounds like it.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I mean, you if you grew up in Los Angeles, they actually had theater. Could you imagine if there was a theater for anal penetration in Lubbock, Texas? Like,
Yeah, it's that fucking place out on 19th.
Yeah,
Well,
you
yeah.
probably sent in some of your videos, Dave.
Huh?
I said, you probably sent in some of your videos.
Yeah, well,
There actually used to be a place outside city limits that had live sex acts, and serious. I mentioned to you before, my friend Rowdy.
Outside city limits.
Yeah, well, of course, they're all outside city limits.
right.
But my friend Rowdy got together with another comedian friend and a local businessman who, no, I better not even tip that off. But he's a real fun. Let me just say this:
you should see the smirk on Wes's
he makes a delicious snack treat that you've all had. Let me just say that, and I'll tell you about it off air. And they went out to this place in the middle of the day, and for the deal, and I'm like begging him for details on what went on, what happened. He goes, well, we went in this room, and there was these like shutters around the room. Because he didn't want to tell me about it because it was like not a big adventure to him, and he said, and we put our money in the slots. We got there, and this girl came out and she stuck her finger in her ass, and the show was over. And that was the whole show. That was it. That was the whole thing. So there was an anal penetration theater, like you guys just mentioned.
Damn, I should go into business.
Well, it used to be that way, but
Hey, Dave, how big was the bush in the first video that you saw?
Big as your beard?
Yeah, I know.
bushes?
That was some old school 1970s porn action going on when vagina hair was vagina hair, not this crop shit. But I like the crop shit because who the fuck wants to go down on a bitch and eat a fucking tuna fish Brillo sandwich? You know?
I bet you they say the same thing when they kiss you.
Yeah,
That sounds so romantic.
Look, no, but I mean, we're all guys in here. We've all gone down on the women, and fucking pubic hairs fucking ruin the snack. You know, it's not something that I want to fucking do, but I do it because it fucking gets her off. But I don't want to have the curly fucking shit in my face. I mean, fuck that.
I've been in the jungle once or twice. I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
You gotta get it done, brother.
Yeah, well, fuck that. Dirty Possum's dirty, but not that dirty.
Forget finding the clit. I couldn't even find the lips. I was up in her belly button.
Yeah, shit. You had to call your John Deere fucking local fucking dealership to get in that shit.
Jesus.
God, this got raw. All right, I want to get back to Austin here a minute because Austin stuff is so unique again. Austin, who's your favorite stand-up comedian?
Ralphie May.
You did like Ralphie.
Yeah.
You know, it's funny because he did sit in that same chair. He's probably the one that
Really?
broke it. Tell me what you like about Ralphie because he's so different from what you do, and that's a compliment.
Yeah, I like the fact that he can tell stories so well. I watched Too Big to Ignore
Yeah.
like 5 years ago. I was like, man, I loved it. I watched it 2 nights in a row. Told all my friends, like, man, I want to start writing stand-up. I've always wanted to. Well, started watching all the stuff. Started getting to other comedians like Chris Porter a lot, Anthony Jeselnik. Anyway, I ended up meeting Ralphie May in Pittsburgh and hanging out with him all night.
Yeah, he'd hang out with you, wouldn't he?
Yeah, and then he came to Lubbock and did a show, and I hung out with him all night after that, too. Partied with him all night, and he was just like, get into stand-up next week. Was my first open mic.
Wow, that's a fantastic story that he could do that for you, man. He was a really, really good guy. For a while there, everybody was hating on him, but it seems like whoever's the current comedy flavor, everybody's got to hate on.
Yeah, people were. I don't know. I mean, he was super nice to me. And
that's all you need to know.
And for already liking him like that, and then that was huge for me, you know.
Yeah, I'll get to your guys' answer here in a minute, but I want to ask you, I know you guys do the laugh off, which does not lend itself to story type comedy. Is that a bit of a problem? I think that's why you succeed at the laugh off, is you tend to do more one-liners like that.
Yeah. I feel like I kind of model myself after Anthony Jeselnik, which is short little 30-second jokes.
Right. But do you have longer story bits?
I've got so many crazy stories. The hardest part is just putting punchlines and making them funny, because to me, they all just happen. It's just kind of normal life, but I've got crazy stories I can make happen for sure.
And they are part of your show?
Sometimes, yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
All right, Caleb, favorite comedian?
Favorite comedian? I don't know. I've been watching a lot of old George Carlin lately.
You can't go wrong there. You can't go wrong there at all.
Him is like the hippie weatherman.
Yeah, I hate to use...
That was like super racy. Ooh.
Oh, yeah. I hate to use up one of my other questions for later, but after watching something like that, do you feel like you need to insert a message into your comedy?
I've been trying to think a little bit more along those lines.
Yeah,
and it's like,
there was a time when every comedian was doing that.
Right.
There would be the whole show, and then at the end there would be some real powerful message.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. It's like I'll look at my set and I'm like, what the fuck does this have to do with anything?
Right.
I could like tell somebody how to maybe think differently or be
Right.
a little bit more open to things.
Caleb's
I don't
grown
know.
up.
I say get
Holy
up there
fuck.
and be funny, man. I don't,
Yeah.
the message like Ralphie did, and it's too big to ignore. Like Ralphie did a message, but that's really one of the only special I like with this message. I like to get up there and just laugh. I think people just want to get away. They don't want to be preached at.
Right.
What about you, Dave? I've never heard you.
Man, in the last 5 minutes, I've had to think. You know what? I'm gonna have to go with. My first exposure to a comedian was Richard Pryor on cassette tapes.
That was my first one too.
And I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to say that was.
I'm gonna have to tell that story sometime about being a little white kid, 5-6 years old, listening to Pryor tapes.
Yeah,
it happened a really, really unique way.
and-
I'll do that sometime.
And mine was at working at Boy Scout camp. We listened to fucking Richard Pryor at night before we went to sleep.
And then everybody
It was-
would masturbate each other.
Yeah,
Right.
and we got masturbation merit badge, comedian merit badge,
All of them in one.
and
I'm
I
cool
got,
with black guys badge.
and I got out of
have a
making
black
my
friend.
bunk the next day because the guy who I sucked off best would make my bunk.
All right, Caleb Davis, tell us where we find out everything about Laugh Hub City, where we can see you, where we can find you online.
Yeah, we're at Laugh Hub City on Facebook, and we've got shows on Tuesday at Rico Room, Wednesday at Lantern, Thursday we're starting one up over at Nick's,
Right?
and we're also on Sunday at PM, and then of course our Laugh Off every once a month on a Friday, usually second or third.
Over at World of Beer.
At
But if you go to
World of
Laugh
Beer.
Hub City on Facebook, you'll find out everything.
Absolutely, and we actually have a functioning Twitter account now.
All right.
Ooh.
But it's run by a really old Mexican guy that's from Hobbs. So fuck you, Paul.
Paul?
Yeah,
Oh my
We've got
God.
about 35 followers on that thing.
And he's gonna be sending out smoke signals. I don't know why nobody's tweeting him back.
All
You're
right.
doing a good job, Paul.
Coming
Yeah,
up
love you,
next
Paul.
week, our most current Laugh Off winner, I guess, will still be Kendall Smith Rodriguez.